Today on The State of Us, Instagram is connecting a vast pedophile network. How do we keep young people safe online? According to the Wall Street Journal, pedophiles have long used the internet. But unlike the forums and file transfer services that cater to people who have interest in illicit content, Instagram doesn't merely host these activities. Its algorithms promote them. Instagram connects pedophiles and guides them to content sellers via recommendation systems that excel at linking those who share niche interests, according to journal and academic researchers. This is a new exclusive report from the Wall Street Journal. Welcome to The State of Us. I'm your host, Justin T. Weller, joined today by the one and only, your friendly redneck liberal and the senior resident historian here at True Chat, Mr. Lance Jackson.
Well, it's interesting, right? Because Instagram didn't tell us that this was going on. As a matter of fact, as I read through the article, Instagram didn't even know it was going on. So the things that people found out surprised Instagram. Wow, we didn't know that was happening. Kind of sounds like the Wild West of technology, doesn't it? I mean, how in the world can you have a company that is pushing child pedophilia and you don't even know it's going on?
Well,
or are you lying?
Right.
Because then you don't get in trouble.
Or maybe some combination, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because what it probably is, I mean...
and there's more. You got to stay tuned because that sounds horrible to me, and that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah. It's probably a combination, right, of they're aware that it exists because they acknowledge in places where they've taken down these accounts. So, they know it's on the platform. Did they know?
Yeah, and they can point and say, see, we took down this many horrible sites in January, and we took down this many horrible sites in February. So they're pointing to all of the, quote, good things they've done, and they are good things.
Yeah. Taking them down is good.
But they're not pointing out that within 2 months, they're all back up again.
Right.
And their system is the one that's making it allowable to be back up again. Huh? That was hard for your friendly redneck liberal to even understand. I had to do some, deep
we get
dive,
to talk some AI today,
understanding of, wait a minute, they're taking it down, yet the way they have the system allows for it to come back and go to even more people than it did in the original content. That kind of seems like going back in the old days, the movie Gremlins. Like you didn't want to spill water because that would create even more gremlins.
Uh-huh.
And that's kind of what was going on here with Instagram and these child pornography sites.
So Meta Platforms, right, is the owner of Instagram. Meta was formerly known as Facebook, but Meta owns Facebook and Instagram. Mark Zuckerberg, that's who we're talking about here. In response to
the guy who went to Congress a couple years ago and told them how safe the internet is, and
yes,
they didn't need to pass any new laws against him.
Right.
Okay.
Well, the other thing to answer your question is, how is all this going on and they don't know about it? What they know is that they're making money, right? That's what they know.
What?
Well, they don't exist for the public good.
I thought just so I could talk to my friends and look at their pictures.
It's so that you can talk to your friends and look at their pictures so that Meta can learn about you so that they can target advertising and make money off of your information.
Oh, man.
That's what it's for.
That sounds evil. And there's no government laws against that.
It's not evil. They're giving you something and they're getting something in return. It's just a question of, are we okay with that arrangement? It's one thing, obviously, for an adult to agree to that arrangement. It's a whole other thing for a child or anybody to unwittingly get roped into something that is not what they signed up for, which is part of what we're going to talk about today as well. The article goes on to explain that certain accounts invite buyers to commission specific acts from children. Some menus include prices for videos of children harming themselves and, quote, imagery of the minor performing sexual acts with animals, according to researchers from Stanford Internet Observatory. At the right price, children are available for in-person meetups.
But that's illegal, right?
Yes. In the United States.
In the United States.
In the United States. Everything that we're talking about so far, right, is basically on Instagram, the illegal act of access to child pornography and even basically the solicitation and potential payment and sale of minors willingly or unwillingly, because the other huge thing here that's not talked about is there's not really any way for the researchers or journal to measure the percentage of these children accounts that they claim that they're being voluntarily run. But often when you find stuff like this on the internet, this is forced sex labor, where a child has been kidnapped and forced into working into this field and pretending as if it's voluntary.
And this is being found on the site where people have Facebook. I mean,
yes.
The company that owns Facebook. So if you're on Facebook, the company that
created your
software is doing this.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Or it's happening on their
watch,
on their sister sites.
Well, I guess they're not watching, or they are watching. Yeah, if they're watching, I guess then that's even.
But all of this is being
concerning.
Uncovered, not by the police.
No,
this isn't the police or some child protection agency
and the Wall Street Journal. So in response to questions from the Wall Street Journal, Meta acknowledged problems within its enforcement operations and said it has set up an internal task force to address the issues raised. Quote, child exploitation is a horrific crime, the company said, adding, we're continuously investigating ways to actively defend against this behavior. Meta said that in the past 2 years, it's taken down 27 pedophile networks and is planning more removals. Since receiving the journal inquiries, the platform said it has blocked thousands of hashtags that sexualize children, some with millions of posts, and it's restricted its systems from recommending users search for terms known to be associated with sex abuse.
So I should feel safe. Well, why isn't that
There's
enough?
A lot of we're trying, we're working on, we're looking at, we're going to. There's not a lot of it's taken care of.
So I can stay outraged.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I think so. The problem, and this is part of what we want to talk about today, folks, is the issue is bigger than just Instagram, right? And it's bigger than Meta and it's bigger than Facebook. How, because you might be there like, why is law enforcement, why is something not happening with Instagram? I mean, no, they're not the ones, creating the content, but it's on their platform and it's not a little tiny issue, right? I mean, one of the things the researchers points out is that a team of 3 academics with limited access could find a huge network of pedophile-based activity. That should be setting off alarms at Meta.
And again, I don't want to put words in their mouth, but they took down 27 networks. How many networks do they have running?
Ooh, good question.
How many, are there 500? Are there 1,000? Are there 5,000? I mean, you took down 27, 20 or 22 or whatever. That number is a good number if that's all of them, but I have a hard feeling that it's not all of them, not even close.
Current and former Meta employees who have worked on Instagram child safety initiatives estimate that the number of accounts that exist primarily to follow such content is in the high hundreds of thousands, if not millions.
Hundreds of thousands, and we shut down 20 something.
That's right.
Right? 22 or is 22, right? Is that what?
Yeah, I think it was.
They took credit for
27.
27.
Well, the way they categorized it, in fairness, the past 2 years, they've taken down 27 pedophile networks, which would likely refer to more than a single account. So it would be a group of accounts. But I mean, even if
hundreds of thousands,
even if a network consisted of 100 accounts and you took down 27, you still haven't made a dent in hundreds of thousands of accounts, or potentially, as some current and former Meta employees
But
project.
as you read their words, they're working really hard to make this better.
Right. Well, I don't know that they said they're working hard.
Oh.
They said that it's a crime and that they're doing things about it. Let's not forget that everything that you do on these platforms builds the profile that helps advertisers sell to you, right? So I'm not sure that Meta could answer, and I don't see anywhere in the article that it's been asked, but I think the question should be asked and answered. Can you definitively say that you haven't profited from any of these accounts that are on here, because they may not be profiting from the activity, but the presence of the accounts allows them to learn more about users, which is data they can turn around and sell, which is them profiting off of this existing on their platform. Now, is it grand in the grand scheme of their platform? No, but there's also nothing they have to do it because that's the way the platform's already
What's
set
the
up.
likelihood of my child who uses Instagram as their form of communication with their friends of gaining access to this?
So the Stanford Internet Observatory, which was one of the groups that consulted on making this happen, used hashtags associated with underage sex to find 405 unique sellers of what researchers labeled self-generated child sex material, or accounts that purportedly are run by children themselves, one saying they were as young as 12. The test accounts the researchers set up viewed a single account in the network and were immediately hit with artificial intelligence suggested for you recommendations through Instagram of purported child sex content sellers and buyers, as well as accounts linking to off-platform content trading sites. That's following just a handful of these recommendations. That's enough to flood a test account with content that sexualizes children.
Okay, it's about time to go to break, but you just used two words there that I've been ranting about and I'm scared of, and you just randomly threw it in there.
Artificial intelligence?
Yep, all of that was created through artificial intelligence. Gonna be great though, right? Because they can write my essays and do my papers and can write political speeches, and it's all great, but it also makes it a lot easier for really bad things that I don't want my children to see to possibly see.
So we'll have to talk about that. Keep it here on The State of Us, and we'll be right back. According to the Wall Street Journal, a Meta spokesman said the company actively seeks to remove users that distribute pedophilic content, taking down 490,000 accounts for violating its child safety policies in January alone. It goes on to say that Instagram, estimated to have more than 1.3 billion users, is especially popular with teens. The Stanford researchers found some similar sexually exploitive activity on other smaller social platforms, but said that they found that the problem on Instagram is particularly severe. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, which is a U.S. nonprofit organization that works with law enforcement, maintains a database of digital fingerprints for such images and videos, and a platform for sharing such data among internet companies. The goal here being making it harder to distribute this, and when it is distributed, to take it down. Internet company algorithms check the digital fingerprints of images posted on their platforms against that list, and they report back to the center when they detect them. A U.S. federal law requires this. In 2022, the center received 31.9 million reports of child pornography, mostly from internet companies. That was up 47% from 2 years earlier. Meta accounted for 85% of all child pornography reports filed to the center, including some 5 million for Instagram alone.
So they're doing their best to clean up the airwaves.
Right.
Okay.
Well,
But
again, I don't know that they said anywhere that they're doing their best. I think they said they're doing things about it.
But 85% of the problems come off of meta networks.
According to this data, that is how I would interpret it as well, is that Meta accounts for 85% of the child pornography
and
reports.
Congress is doing what about it? What new laws have been brought on the books? What investigation has taken place?
Nothing.
It took 3 academic groups to uncover all of this.
So before the break, something caught your attention.
Mm-hmm.
What was that?
Well, it was that, correct me if I'm wrong, but you said once this process starts, then artificial intelligence takes over and begins to offer it to even more people once it's made its way onto the site. Is that sort of what is going on? I mean, I was kind of listening and trying to follow it. And then all of a sudden you said, and artificial intelligence makes it easier for, and I'm like, what? So I'm assuming that the artificial intelligence, because they're, as you have taught me over the last 3 or 4 years, that these sites exist because they're providing content, and then their algorithms, the machine reads what I go to, and then in turn, the sites sell that information to companies that want to advertise. And since they know I watch a lot of sports, they send me betting sites, and they send me, and they do that based on what I'm watching or viewing.
Yes.
So with these child pornography sites, anything that would be connected with that or could be remotely connected, AI could be picking up on that and start to send me that, even though I don't want it. Because I might ask for something, I can't even think of it because I don't know, but that would be a code word for child pornography. I think the article said something about cheese pizza. So I want to go on and check out who has the best cheese pizza in a city that I'm going to travel to. And artificial intelligence says, oh, cheese pizza, that's code for child pornography. And so the AI reads that. And even though I'm looking up where I can get the best cheese pizza in citywide,
you might actually be looking up where you can get the best child pornography.
They might be sending me
right
within my algorithm.
Yeah. I mean, you'll probably get recommendations for the best cheese pizza, but you may also get recommendations for accounts that feature the cheese pizza emoji, because that has become a way around the algorithm, because cheese pizza shares the initials of child pornography. You get roped into it, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, what are these 3 different accounts that I've gotten recommendations for, and you look at them and then you realize what it is. Well, now because you've looked at them, the artificial intelligence said, hey, we made this suggestion and they took time to look at this account, so maybe we should suggest it to other people too. People because people might be interested in the same thing. Because the artificial intelligence doesn't have any idea, right?
Right, as you've explained,
this is harmful.
It has no moral values. It has nothing.
All it is doing
is just reading the data and making decisions the way it's been programmed.
Its goal, right, is not to distribute good content. Its goal is to distribute things that keep people engaged.
Who's held accountable for it?
No one, really.
What about the makers of AI? Aren't they held accountable for
not based on our current laws? Because we have a nice law, Lance, right, that was written in the 90s. So before our intern here, before he was even born, which is, by the way, before Instagram, Facebook, none of these were born. Right, either. They did not exist yet when this law was written. But the thinking was that in the dawn of the internet, this new technology that we don't have, companies were generally small and they generally didn't have huge staffs. They were growing, and in an effort to continue innovation, there was a law that was passed, right, that enabled, among many other things, one of the things that it did is it removed liability from internet-based platforms for users generating content that may be unlawful or harmful on their sites. In other words, if I make Lance.com, right, and Joe logs on to Lance.com and he creates something illegal, I am not going to be held liable for what he created on my site.
Because you created Facebook.
Right.
And somebody uses Facebook to create something that is bad, you're not responsible as the person who created Facebook.
According to the law, the federal law works right now. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yep. Although,
there's your answer, folks. You don't have to like it. And you can be like me and maybe, you got a few questions about it. Maybe you think, no, that's totally fair. Or maybe you think, well, that's horrible. They should be responsible. Okay. What Justin just explained to us is that that's the law as it currently stands.
The laws were written at a time, right, where it was totally possible that one human created a website and there might be 10,000 users on it. And the thinking was, right, it's not we would totally kill the internet if we asked every independent entrepreneur ever, right, to police their entire site, because part of technology is that it's scalable. So it's just not reasonable to ask that of brand new little tiny companies.
I understand.
But now we have mega networks, right? With billions, I mean, literally with billions or hundreds of millions of users that are making billions of dollars a year. Those are nothing like
the richest people in the world.
Right.
I mean, they're now the richest people
the wealthiest
in the world.
companies and the richest people in the world are nothing like when this law was written, what it was thinking it was governing, right?
And I don't understand it well enough to know what law should be written or if this is the way we want to keep it going. I don't understand it well enough. But it sounds like it's a big enough issue that we ought to be addressing it head on.
The way it is isn't okay.
Right.
You don't maybe know what the right answer is, but it's like, this isn't.
But I'm not
I'm
not in Congress.
Right.
And yet I'm not hearing anybody talk about this. I'm not hearing about any lawmakers discussing this. The most I'm hearing our lawmakers discuss this kind of thing is, oh, we got to get rid of TikTok because it's from China.
Yeah.
Oh, this sounds pretty bad to me. And it's homegrown. And we're not discussing it at all. And if we are, somebody needs to send it to me because I'm not reading about it.
Yeah.
And obviously, they're not concerned about it because the government didn't do the studies that discovered all of this going on. Neither did law enforcement.
No.
These studies were done by people at the collegiate level, just sitting down and saying, well, let's look and see, what's going on in this area. So if they hadn't have done it, how much would it have grown exponentially? Because they and the Wall Street Journal are bringing this to light. If nobody had brought it to light, how much would it have continued to grow?
Well, so Meta points out, right, that one of the ways that they handle enforcement is by making it possible for users to report when they stumble across something.
Okay, so when I get it, I report it. All right.
Right. Well, the article then goes on to explain, though, that sometimes user reports of nudity involving a child went unanswered for months, according to a review of source of reports filed over the last year by numerous child safety advocates. When we dive a little deeper, you find out that a Meta spokesperson acknowledged that they had failed to act on these. They had received the reports and failed to act on them. A review of how the company handled reports of child sex abuse found that a software glitch was preventing a substantial portion of user reports from being processed, and that the company's moderation staff wasn't properly enforcing the platform's rules, according to the spokesman. The company said it has since fixed the bug and its reporting system and is providing new training to its content moderators. Even when Instagram, though, does take down accounts selling underage sex content, they don't always stay gone. We're going to talk about that. That's that AI thing that keeps scaring Lance. Keep it here on The State of Us. We'll be right back. Even when Instagram does take down accounts selling underage sex content, they don't always stay gone. That's again according to the Wall Street Journal article we're referencing today. Under the platform's internal guidelines, penalties for violating its community standards are generally levied on accounts, not users or devices. And you might say, well, wait, isn't that the same thing? No, it's not. Because Instagram allows users to run multiple linked accounts, the system makes it easy to evade meaningful enforcement. Users regularly list the handles of backup accounts in their bios, allowing them to simply resume posting to the same set of followers if Instagram removes them. And in some instances, Instagram's recommendation systems directly undercut efforts by its own safety staff. After the company decided to crack down on links from a specific encrypted file transfer service notorious for transmitting child sex content, Instagram blocked searches for its name. Or so they thought. Instagram's AI-driven hashtag suggestions didn't get the message. Despite refusing to show results for the service's name because the staff manually blocked it, the platform's autofill feature recommended that users try variations of the name with words boys and CP added to the end to still find the content.
This is what's at the end of the article, that's linked at the State of Us. But this is what I've just got circled, highlighted, you name it. And it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. So they have a system, my understanding here, Meta, Instagram, has a system on how they're supposed to get rid of things. But as the system is written, AI takes over and tells you how to find these systems that the program...
How to work around the blocks.
Exactly.
Because its job is to do what? Keep you engaged.
Yeah, right.
So you can't search for, we've manually made it impossible.
So what you're telling me is, okay, I got to get this down to the level that the friendly redneck liberal can understand. I find something pops up that I'm offended by. Right. I let Instagram or Meta, whoever, I let them know.
The stratosphere.
That this is
the cloud.
That I'm offended by it.
Yes.
They may or may not get back to me, number one.
Yeah. But we don't know when they'll look at it.
Because they didn't know, right.
Yeah.
But eventually when they do, and they try to fix the problem, alleviate the issue that I have, the artificial intelligence that they're using will send me messages telling me how I can work around the blockage that Instagram has set up on what I asked to not be a part of.
It may give you suggestions when you're searching for ways to still access the content.
Yeah, but I just told them I'm offended by this content. I don't ever want to see it again. And their company...
you reported it and said that it violates the guidelines. You didn't say you didn't want to see it.
Okay, folks, you understand me, right? You may not understand Meta or what the semantics that Justin's playing, but you know what I'm saying. We've told them we don't want this, and their system is set up to tell us how to get around it and still see it, even though we've told them we don't want it.
The company's staff tried to disable those hashtags that were basically, working their way around the blockages amid its response to the queries by the journal. But within a few days, Instagram was again recommending new variations of the service's name that also led to accounts selling purported underage sex content.
Yeah, okay, now I'm going to read the last sentence, okay? Instagram's suggestions were helping to rebuild the network that the platform's own safety staff was in the middle of trying to dismantle. That's wrong, okay? I don't know if that's AI, if that's Zuckerberg, if that's Facebook, if it's Meta, if it's Instagram, okay? But you tell me, who's running the asylum? The right hand is trying to take it down, and the left hand is rebuilding it faster than the right hand can take it down. And that's supposed to be technology that I'm not afraid of, or that I'm not scared of what it's going to do to our people, to me.
Well, you might say, isn't the simple answer to simply take the AI recommendation algorithm offline? Wouldn't that be?
Wow, that sounds simple to me. But once you create the AI, you can't stop it.
Well, they could take it offline, but
right now,
you know what would happen.
But not in the future, because AI is going to get so strong that it's going to not listen to humans.
You would say, well, why not just take it offline until it can be fixed? I mean, why are they leaving it online if they know that they're having a hard time? It keeps making recommendations.
Well, because then they're not making money by selling me the information that makes them money.
Because
stupid.
It would affect the rest of the site.
I understand capitalism.
They'd have to go back to a non-AI based search feature,
right, and
which wouldn't be as smart.
And they would take a hit.
So people would lose some engagement.
Right.
So we're not going to do that.
As this gentleman says here, pull the emergency brake. Are the economic benefits worth the harm to these children?
Simple answer.
And what are they telling us? They're saying it's more important for them. I mean, by their actions or inaction, they're telling us it's more important to them to rake in the millions, billions of dollars that AI is creating for them than it is to take care of these children that are being abused. That's what the people who are running Facebook, okay? Because you maybe don't have Instagram, you maybe don't have all this other stuff, but the parent company, Meta, runs Facebook. So if you have Facebook, you're supporting a company that's saying, we value the amount of money we're making more than we value the harm to young people. Am I off base?
Well, they are taking down some of it,
right?
You know,
and they're
when they get to it,
and they're preventing it. They're working on it.
Well, they're working on preventing it.
But in the meantime, until they get it built, as this gentleman says from the University of Massachusetts, all right, this person from the university says, why don't you just stop all of it? Because his question is the same as mine. Pull the emergency brake as a statement, okay? And then he asks the question, are the economic benefits that your company is making with this AI worth the harm you're causing these children? And if they don't take it down, then they're consciously or subconsciously answering, yes, our profits are more important than the children being harmed. And that's your Facebook company, folks. Many of you may own stock in that company. And that's what they're saying in this report that the Wall Street Journal just released, is that their profits are more important than the harm coming to young people through their sites.
So people at home wondering, what do we do about this? I mean, maybe they're like Lance, right? And saying, I don't know what we do, but we got to do something. Like, this is obviously not okay. I don't know what the law should be. Is there a law? I would say yes. And I think the first place you start is amending the way our current federal law is written in regards to exemptions for liability. And I don't mean to sound like a broken record,
Justin, and I agree with you. But my point is, nobody's discussing it. Mm-hmm. Should we be doing? Yeah, but nobody's discussing it. We can't even get it. I mean, so maybe how you fix this is, do we need to start, I hate to say this, old school, right? A letter writing, contacting our Congress people and telling them, I'm outraged that you're allowing Meta to do this. I mean, when they have a town hall, do we need to ask them about it? I mean, at some point, you're right. We need to work on the law. I don't have the answer on what the law should be, but my frustration is that none of the lawmakers, are they even aware of this?
I have the answer on the law front.
And if they are, okay, but we got to get the people who are in charge of making the law to use your idea.
I agree.
So we got to start. So I would say start there. Now you tell me, what's the fix on the law? If we ever get Congress to pay attention to this, you know. That,
well, they don't seem to care that gun deaths are now the leading cause of death for people under the age of 18.
Don't get into the next show that I'm going to talk about. I understand. They don't.
We're not doing.
We're not worried about education.
Doing anything about guns being the leading death for people under the age of 18. Why would we assume that our Congress is going to do something about the sexual exploitation of children?
What they're worried about in our education system is no more chocolate milk for kids.
Well, yeah,
because that's the worst thing going on in education right now is daggone kids getting too much sugar with the chocolate milk in the lunchroom.
Yeah, guns
so
and
we're painting the picture of how we feel about Congress.
Yeah.
Okay. But if they actually got concerned,
if they actually got concerned,
what is the law fix? I will.
You choose a user number, right? And I don't know what that is, but it could be 1 million, it could be 10 million. When a social media platform, you know, owned by a company, you know, surpasses whatever you want to say it is, you know, a certain user number, simple. They are liable for content distributed on their sites. It's the simplest law you can make. You might say, well, how are they supposed to? I don't know. It's not my problem. They're liable for it, though. They will figure it out. They built the most advanced, largest social networks that have ever graced the face of planet Earth, the most advanced mass communication tools and AI systems that can recommend content left and right. And you're telling me that they can't figure out how to police it? No. Maybe they don't know how today. They can figure it out.
And if the law said they were going to be shut down,
and if the law said that they would be held liable, The same way that anybody else, right? The same way that anybody else in any other company would be held liable if you assisted in illicit activity of any kind, not just this child pornography and child sex work and all this stuff that's going on that's awful, but any illegal activity. If you participate in that, you are guilty by association and or aiding and abetting that crime to take place. And if every single instance of that was something that now you could sue Meta for, or that they could criminally be held liable for, they'll figure out how to police it.
So very simply, just quit giving them the free pass that they've had for 30 years.
They have a free pass. They have a free pass that existed before they existed. Why do they get the free pass that existed before they existed? And they're not the companies that law was designed to help protect and let grow. They were once long ago. They haven't been in over a decade now. They have not been those companies that those laws were designed to help. Because I'm not saying that the law, it didn't have a bad initial intention, but it's over 30 years old, Why are we...
And it was done so companies
over
could
20
grow,
years old, excuse me.
And obviously the companies have grown.
They've done that. But now we're saying that it's not their problem to enforce these terrible things that are happening on their site. They have the money. Nobody can say that they're going to be put out of business may they have to take a hit to their bottom line to put more human content reviewers in place to do better training, to review content faster? Yes, they might have to do that. They created the means by which this problem came about. They have the responsibility, morally, ethically, and they ought to have the legal responsibility to fix it.
And as much as I agree and like your idea, to me, the step that comes before that is we have to get the people in power to even take the time to discuss it.
You have to make sure that you share this with other people, right? And you have to let them know that this is a problem. I would imagine, Lance, knowing our listenership, that this is not something that any of us take lightly as a just like, oh yeah, well, they're trying on it. So I guess we have faith that they'll get it fixed. Because clearly that has not worked.
So we got to try something else. But you're probably asking, well, why'd you talk about this today? Justin just explained it. We work at True Chat, and the mission here at True Chat is to educate people. That's what we've done by providing honest, open, and respectful conversations. And hopefully you've enjoyed today's show. You're as upset or almost as upset as I am, and you're going to make something happen and tell others and get them to do something about it. And when they say, well, this sounds like the kind of, thought-provoking, open-minded show that I'd like to listen to, tell them where to find us. And that's on Spotify, Overcast, Stitcher, Apple Podcast, and everywhere podcasts are found.
The State of Us releases new episodes Tuesdays and Thursdays. As a podcast, those same episodes are heard on AM and FM radio stations across the United States and parts of Canada. For The State of Us, I'm Justin T. Weller.
I'm Lance Jackson.
Special thanks to producer Bradley Butch, and thank you all, our audience, for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Be the change. Be sure to check out our website, thestateofus.org, for books, articles, and all the ways to tune in. thestateofus.org.